Okay, so this is just a really quick honeybee update, and I wanted to show the value of having an edible hedge around your beehive in your backyard apiary. Look at the size of the pollen packs on the hind legs of these honeybees. They are just covered, and that's because we have different Salix family, Salix discolor in particular. We have willows out there, and the male willows have these big catkins on them. They're covered in pollen, and the bees are just loading themselves up and coming in with it. So of course, when you see pollen loaded bees on your landing board, you know that there's brood in there, because that's bee bread. It's what the nurse bees are feeding to those developing larvae. And we have a lot of capped brood as well, which is going to be fantastic, because that's the workforce that's going to emit from these colonies. Look at all the pollen that's spread out all over that aluminum bottom cover there. It's just everywhere. So they are really making maximum use of this warm-up that we've had. Terrible weather prior to this, so they are just busy as can be. And I'll show you some close-ups here of the plant that we're talking about. These are the bees departing again from another beehive, and this one sits in the shadow of a spruce tree. And just the pollen, they're just bringing it in. And look how it's also dusted. There's yellow pollen dust on that landing board entry there. It's been torn off by a bear. I leave it there to remind myself to turn on the electric fence. And you can see these foragers just heading out in groups. There goes a little exploring ant walking along there. And this is what we're talking about. These are just willows. And this, of course, is the male catkins that are sticking out here, and they are covered in pollen. Also, native pollinators make use of these. And we've got this beautiful day. So glad for that. Of course, now that I'm posting this today, I shot this yesterday. Today it's raining again. But these are close-ups. So when you see pussy willows up close, this is what they open up into, and then these are the flowers that the bees find useful. So it's fantastic. This is again a hedge that runs on the west side of my apiary, and look at all the tiny flies. And later we'll show you some small bees. They are all pollinating, getting sap from these, getting nectar. And this is an excellent early season protein boost for the bees so that they can raise their brood. Even flies provide some pollination services here. Flies are attracted to nectar and sweet things. We already know that. There's the honeybee moving fast through these. Had a hard time actually tracking down the bees. They didn't spend a lot of time on them. And this, of course, is a solitary bee, a native bee. And they are pollinators as well. In fact, they get out early, and one by one, they are very productive. And I came across lots of these little rascals here. Another close-up there, getting into the nectar and of course getting pollen on itself in the process. What's the difference between bees and wasps? Well, the body hair primarily. So you see that it has fuzzy thorax there. That is a bee. Now if it were super smooth and there was no hair on it whatsoever, it could be a wasp, and sometimes we do have pollinating wasps as well. So honeybees, wasps, solitary bees like the mason bees, the orchard bees, the mining bees, they all participate in pollination. And this is the female catkin of these willows, and this is out in my wetlands. And I just went out there because I wanted you to see the difference. These are much less conspicuous in the landscape when you're looking for them. And of course there's not very much insect activity on them. But they will visit because these do put out some nectar, and that's how they're going to pollinate there. So just a great opportunity to show you what's going on. There is a honeybee behind this catkin here, and I hope your bees are doing great too. I just wanted to give you an optimistic, positive update and share that they are bringing in pollen and that there are baby bees. Thanks for watching, as always.